Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Boss Rush Podcast, a great place to play games and be better. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deerigan. Alongside me, as always, is the PC muscle race himself, LeRon Dawkins.
What's poppin'?
Hey, LeRon.
Hey, Corey.
LeRon, I gotta tell you, I watched Deadpool and Wolverine this weekend, and it was very, very good. Oh, man. You know that feeling that everybody got when Spider-Man came out like 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Everybody was excited to see all these Spider-Men flinging around.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. That's how I felt watching this movie. Okay. This was my Spider-Man. Okay. Speaking of Spider-Man, I don't really know what kind of transition we're doing here, so we're just going to go with it. We have two special guests tonight, LeRon. One is from our writing team on the website, bossrush.net, and the other is a fellow podcaster with a great podcast. But first, we're going to introduce Sofi, our writer from the writing team, bossrush.net. Sofi, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I can say I am Spider-Man if that's a good enough transition. We can go from
It's fine with me.
Secrets out.
Who are you? Why should people pay attention to you?
I'm the youngest one here, and I have charm, and
I said give people a reason to pay
perspective.
attention.
I like how he led with it.
I know. He's really leaning into it, huh?
It's the youth movement. Yeah,
it's the youth movement. It's my character now. It's my character trait. New writer here for Boss Rush, and I'm looking forward to writing more, and feel like podcasting is always something I wanted to be a part of, and this is like a good opportunity for me to speak my voice, say what I need to say. Thank you for having me again, Corey.
Absolutely. Look, we've got enough of them, so anytime you want to just jump on one.
Sweet.
But also here, speaking of podcasts, met this human being at PAX, introduced to me by Stephanie. Has a great podcast called Tales from the Backlog. Dave Jackson is here. Dave, welcome to the show. I love your podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind words, and thank you for inviting me on the show, and apologies for having to delay the recording, but a little wait never hurt anybody, I guess. I'm happy to be here.
That's right. That's what your show's all about, waiting to play.
That's right.
Games.
Yeah.
Right. So, Dave, why don't you tell everybody what your show's about, who you are, and why they should listen to your podcast?
Sure. So Tales from the Backlog is a weekly deep dive podcast. Every week is a different game under the microscope. And so it's, from the backlog, we say, so it's always things that are not necessarily brand new, not a retro show, but not on the cutting edge of the new releases of the week either. And the way that I record and, space things out, if I do a brand new game, by the time it hits my show, it's 6 months late. So don't come to my show for like the hottest new releases. Come to my show for those things that you may have passed over and might be sitting in your Steam library because you bought it for $3 and forgot about it. That's my show. And then the other thing about my show I want everyone to know is that every episode is spoiler free for a while. And then there's a break in the middle, and then afterwards it's full spoilers. So anyone can listen to any episode of my show for deep, hopefully helpful analysis about the game without being spoiled for quite some time. And they're long episodes, so you get about an hour-ish of non-spoiler in every episode.
Hold on, pause. Corey.
What?
You set me up because last night we were in like a 30 minute like video call, and I was talking about man, these games are like dirt cheap, but I know I'm just gonna slam them right into my backlog and never play. I'm talking like Panzer Dragoon remake for PC, the Deus Ex collection, both Judgment games.
Look, I didn't tell you to buy those games.
I haven't bought them yet. They're sitting in my cart though.
You're gonna hit buy now.
Come on, man. They're just so cheap right now. like Judgment for the PC is $14.40 on Green Man Gaming. Plug for them, by the way. Lost Judgment, the second part, and like one of the more critically acclaimed ones. It's all part of Yakuza, by the way. Like for you people or Like a Dragon for people who want to be fancy now. That one's $22 right now. The Panzer Dragoon remake on the PC. If you have not gotten it, or you like me and got the very horribly unoptimized Nintendo Switch version, it's $2 right now on PC.
What are you talking about? Every game on the Nintendo Switch is totally optimized.
Yeah.
Plays best on Switch on every box.
You set me up, Corey. We're gonna have a conversation.
We are gonna have a conversation. This podcast would be terrible if we didn't. Dave, thanks for joining us tonight. It's been a long time coming. I'm very excited to have you here. Are you going to PAX West?
I am not, but if you are going to PAX East next year, I hope to be there.
Great, because PAX is awesome. If anybody out there has a chance to go, it's quite the experience.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, speaking of PAX, we are headed to PAX. Join me, Pat, Stephanie, Ed, and David Lasby as we cover the event from the event with articles, podcasts, interviews, behind the scenes footage, and all that kind of stuff. PAX West takes place August 30th through September 2nd. Watch out for content on the website. It's going to be a good time. Going to be a good time. But also, if you want to support the Boss Rush podcast and the Boss Rush Network, you can head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/Boss Rush Network. Subscribing to tiers on our Patreon grants you perks like new exclusive pre-show, voting rights for spoiler casts and video game book club, exclusive questions threads for interviews and spotlights, early access to After Dark, and more. As always, though, your viewership and listenership is enough for us. So if you're watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, like the video, leave a comment. A lot of comments recently. Thank you guys for leaving comments. Very, very grateful for those comments. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you are using Chrome, sir. You distracted me with your fireworks.
My bad.
That's fine. I do it sometimes. Man, if you listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, leave us a rating or a nice review over there as well. You can catch all of our content, including banters, features, listicles, reviews, and more over on our website at bossrush.net. Got a lot of content coming up, everybody. A lot of content. Dave, you've got quite a bit of content coming up. What do you got coming on?
I stay busy, so I've got Tales from the Backlog every week, new episodes. But I do want to shout out a couple of guest things that I'm doing, and I think in the past, by the time people hear this, the stuff will be out. I want to spread the love for others that invite me on their projects. So first of all, I'm part of a big tournament, a big retro games tournament called the King of Games over on the Retro Hangover podcast. Every year they do a different tournament where they pit all the best games from a certain year against each other in a bracket style to figure out what is the King of Games for that year. And the tournament that's going on right now is 1996. So I'm a part of that. We've got a bunch of heavy hitters from that year: Super Mario 64, Tomb Raider, Resident Evil 1. A lot of good stuff from 1996.
Wow.
So over on Retro Hangover, I'm a part of, I think it was maybe 4 or 5 episodes in that tournament. So go show them some love. They're a wonderful show. And then over on the Your Friendly Neighborhood Gamers podcast, I joined them for a big discussion about the Elden Ring DLC, which is one of my favorite things that I've played this year. So if you want to hear me talking about Elden Ring, over on Your Friendly Neighborhood Gamers.
Nice. It's Retro Hangover podcast. I think you retweeted something about them recently, and I've started following them, and it's good people over there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sophie, you got anything cool coming up? You got anything
coming up? I mean, I'm still starting out in my career, so I don't know if I got a lot to really shout out or plug.
Sure you do.
Boss Rush Network, guys, read my articles.
Yeah, attaboy.
Other writers' articles. I think it's one of the more well-organized news articles I've been to, and it's really, really good. I'm actually so proud of being a part of all this. It's awesome.
You can you can thank David for keeping that website organized, because it is. I gotta tell you, man, that website would be a hot mess if it wasn't for David. Not that we couldn't do it, but look, David is so organized and very
from the time I've known him, he is the type to be that. Yeah.
Ron, you got anything cool coming up?
Just stay tuned because on episode 118 of Boss Rush After Dark, we have a special announcement. And by special announcement, I mean we are inducting a new co-host to the show.
Yeah, and I know who it is, and I'm very excited.
Yeah,
let's
no
just say
spoilers.
Let's just say this person fits very well in that category.
For real.
And it's about to get it wasn't R-rated already.
To go down.
Oh my gosh. As for well, let's plug Stephanie's stuff first. She's going to be on the video game trivia with Jacob McCourt at PAX West, which is very exciting. So that'll be, I think it's being live streamed somewhere on one of PAX's 75 Twitch channels at 9 p.m. Pacific time, so midnight Eastern over there. So I'm very proud of her. I'm glad she gets to do that. We're going to be there in support. I'm going to secretly text her answers if she doesn't know them. So, and I'll probably be wrong. That's okay. She also has a bunch of spotlights coming up, including one with Angry Demon Studios that's coming up next week. And she also has one with Ritual Studios, the developer of the music game Fretless, coming up in September. We have information that cannot be public till after Gamescom, so you can look forward to that. As for me, my episode of Fun and Games Side Quests is out for Hellblade 2. That was really, really fun. Shout out to Matt Storm and Fun and Games podcast. They will be guesting on the show in a couple weeks.
Ooh.
Matt Storm is good people.
Yeah, great people. You have Matt and Jeff?
Just Matt for now.
Okay.
I need to reach out to Jeff too. But
nice.
I met Jeff at PAX.
Yeah. Yeah, they're great.
They're
people.
both great. Yeah. I am also scheduling my appearance on The Last Word, which is Destiny podcasts with friend of show Lord Cognito from the Iron Lords, and Ibantis, YouTuber Ibantis, and let's just say those episodes are going to be pretty spicy in the next couple weeks. So, you know, but that's what's coming up. Also, book club Stray is out now to the public. Paper Mario's Patreon, so check those out. Time to get into what we've been playing. Dave, you are our esteemed guest. We're gonna let you go first.
Ooh, okay. So I'm always playing a ton of stuff, and so with the way that I play and time and schedule things for Tales from the Backlog, I am usually playing things 3 months before they arrive on the show. So right now in July, I'm playing my horror games for the October podcasts. So the summer is horror time for me. So I am playing Deadly Premonition from the Xbox 360, one of the most polarizing games ever made. Notable for like a lot of people saying it's one of the best things ever made, and a lot of people saying it's complete trash. So I'm playing that. I am playing Omori. Actually, I just finished Omori, which I really, really loved. Wonderful storytelling in that game. Surprisingly good combat system. I'm always like, I don't know, turn-based combat can just be kind of a thing that you do. You know, you just kind of tap buttons and get through the game. Omori's not like that. I really enjoyed that. But all shout out to the story, the art, the music in that game. It's wonderful. And also, one of the games you can pick up for $2 on Steam all the time, System Shock 2. I'm playing that. Real old influential game. One of those games that inspired a lot of my favorites, like BioShock, which is made by the same people. So BioShock and then Prey from Arcane Studios.
Ooh.
One of those games, you know how you play some of the newer stuff and then you go back and you play the inspiration, and then you like all those puzzle pieces just click together about those newer games that you like, where you're like, oh, I see what they did. They did this exactly from the older game. I have so many moments like that playing System Shock 2, because Prey and BioShock are basically just continuations of System Shock. So I'm really enjoying that. It's a little bit older PC game, 1999, but it holds up really well. I'm really enjoying that. And like I said, Deadly Premonition, very polarizing game. A lot of people say it's garbage. It is. It's complicated. Some parts of it are garbage. Some parts are very good though. And it's like if you like Twin Peaks, it's something you should try out. So that's what I've been playing. There's a bunch of other stuff always, but I talk too much. I'm sure they'll come up at some point.
Oh, you can talk about it if you want. So
No, it's good. We got other segments to talk about other games I'm playing too. So yeah,
we definitely do. Sophie, what are you playing?
Oh man, okay. While we're on that turn-based topic earlier from Memori, I am currently playing Final Fantasy X, but if I'm going to commit to it or not is on debate right now.
No, you are. The correct answer is you are going to commit.
We're making that decision for you. Sorry.
You're making that decision for me. Okay. Okay. I have a couple complaints and a couple positives, a couple negatives about Final Fantasy X, but right now I think I am putting bookmark on it, and I will continue to finish the Mass Effect trilogy, which I had no idea was that good of a trilogy. I got into Mass Effect 1 a couple weeks ago, completely blind, not knowing what to expect, and it completely blind. I don't know anything. Yeah.
So lucky.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're so lucky.
I had no idea. Shepard, no idea about
unspoiled, untouched. Oh my god.
the cathedral. I had nothing. Like, I didn't know anything about it. And playing it is just the ending, the sort of character writing was beautiful, and I loved it so much. And I'm currently in the middle of Mass Effect 2, and I stopped playing Mass Effect 2 to continue playing Final Fantasy X. And so that was like going from like eating like Michelin star restaurant food and then going to the like Red Robin down the street. You know what I mean? Like, they're both good, but I feel like the Mass Effect trilogy I was getting my money's worth with that. You know what I mean?
Oh, but Red Robin, you get endless fries. You get your money's worth there.
Isn't it beautiful when you like play something with as much hype and like mass appeal as Mass Effect, and it lives up to it, and you're like, this is actually really good. It's wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Man,
yeah, like I can honestly say the original Mass Effect trilogy, that is not overrated. No, it is not overrated.
Man,
like
Saren,
there's some speed bumps along the way, but it's not an overrated series.
Oh man, dude, Saren is one of the best villains in video games.
In video game history. Yeah.
I would put Saren up there with like Revan and like, some of these. Saren is just a cool villain.
I love
Kefka from Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah. Sin from Final Fantasy X.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I have my tidbits. I have my points.
You're talking to a Final Fantasy X super fan here, but like, I mean, you're allowed to have critiques about it. It's not a perfect game.
If I was around, I love the Final Fantasy games.
He was around when it came out. Whoa.
Well, I'll get to that. I love Final Fantasy VII. Right, I played the original one. Right, kind of pushed through it, and well worth it. I love the narrative of it. I love the themes of it, and I played Final Fantasy 15. Again, love the narrative, love the themes. It wasn't as good as 7, obviously, but just one of the first Final Fantasy games I played. So I'm still kind of biased on that. And I have played, but not completed, I'm not sure, Final Fantasy 4. The remake version of the Nintendo DS. That's the one I played. Yeah. But with 10, can I get into this? Like, is this like can we like move on?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get into it.
It's a 20+ year old game. Spoilers for Final Fantasy X, everybody.
With 10, it's just like the turn-based combat felt more stale than Final Fantasy VII turn-based combat. I don't know why. It could be the aesthetics. It could be the fact that the enemies don't attack during your turn. But it felt more stale. It felt like a chore to get through. Most turn-based games, combat is kind of a chore, but this one especially was a chore. And I did pick up Final Fantasy X a couple years ago just for me to drop it again. So this is sort of like second try. Still kind of felt the same feeling, but I did get further apart. I did get to a certain point where we realize who Sin really is. That's still kind of early on,
Mhm.
right? But at that point, I'm like, I didn't find it in me to keep going forward. I didn't like get drag. I pushed myself until I was expecting at some point the narrative to push me the rest of the way, but I just didn't feel that tug, metaphorically speaking. But I I looked at my Xbox One and I'm like, Mass Effect is right there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
right
that
there.
happens.
Yeah.
Look, here's the thing. You should finish Mass Effect first. I'm gonna, as somebody who loves Final Fantasy X,
See, this
you
feels
should.
like a bias is
Well,
working itself in there, but I'm actually going to
Mhm.
join you on this. Finish Mass Effect.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's I
That's
mean,
Um,
really good.
you can be playing two great games, and if one of them is speaking to you more, then you're just not going to like the other one as much. So you
Yeah.
mhm.
gotta
Yeah.
follow the one that you're enjoying more.
Definitely.
Why turn one game into homework when you could be playing the
Mhm.
one that you really want to play,
That's
right?
what it feels
Exactly.
like. Final Fantasy X does feel like homework to me.
Yeah, it's because you want to
The
play Mass Effect. And I
Yeah.
refuse to
All the
believe it's
time.
because Final Fantasy X is actually not good.
Yeah. Oh no,
No, no.
Final Fantasy X is good. It's
Oh
a
no,
good
I
I
game.
feel
love it.
like if I
Yeah.
went to it in a different mindset, it's good. I love the
Mhm.
themes. We can like the whole questioning religion thing has always been like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
awesome
Mhm.
thing for me. And yeah, I think it's really awesome, interesting. But
Yeah.
Yeah. I also think, especially like at the time when Final Fantasy X came out on PS2, like the reason why the combat is so simple is because the big thing was like they were really pushing graphics
oh
and
yeah,
CG cutscenes and voice acting, because this is the first Final Fantasy game that had voice acting in it. So those were like the big selling points of the game. It wasn't the combat;
Yeah.
it was that, and I think that's why it was such a huge deal when it came out, right? Because it was coming out, it was that, and then it was like Metal Gear Solid 2 and Zone of the Enders, and like there was some major like
Yeah.
cinematic games really starting to roll out for PS2, right?
yeah. I
And
feel like that's what
Yeah.
I meant by like saying if I was there at the time,
mhm,
then maybe
yeah,
that sort of like graphical influence that people were, their minds being blown because of it. I feel like I would have, if I experienced it too, I would have like I would have had like the love for it enough to keep pushing through. But yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Well, if you think the combat in 10 is boring, then finish 10 and then play the sequel 10 too, because a lot of people like that combat a lot more and it's a lot more active. It's more like
okay,
that old ATB style. And
okay.
it's also a super unique game, which and I think it gets too much hate. I think it's really good.
I
I
don't know.
got
There's a
ahead of
lot of
myself
games
and
where
I'm
you can
on
play
both.
anime waifu dress up now,
Yeah, but
Dave.
Yeah,
there's not
there's
a whole lot where you deal with the fallout of what happens at the end of Final Fantasy X. So
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. I can agree with that.
Yeah, man.
awesome. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's just my opinion on that.
yeah.
yeah. You should finish Mass Effect. I love Final
Thank you.
Fantasy X, but man, Mass Effect is so good, and if you don't finish it, you're gonna regret it.
Okay, yeah.
And Mass Effect is a
Totally
trilogy.
there.
Mass Effect is a trilogy that's worth playing through all the way without playing something in between. Also,
Agreed.
because the
Yeah.
games are short enough, right? But like, oh, I'm
And
so jealous that you've never been spoiled on Mass
yeah,
Effect.
I was gonna say,
I know
Oh,
nothing
that
about Mass Effect at all,
I know
and
it's
every installment is something completely new to me.
yeah, I was gonna say
that's so
no
rare.
spoilers, but after you finish Mass Effect 2, you're gonna want to go straight into Mass
Straight into
Effect
Mass
3.
Effect 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I'm like that's honestly like I can't say I wasn't spoiled on like Mass Effect because like I was following it while it was a brand new game when it was debuting on the
Mhm.
Xbox 360 and stuff like that. But I did not own a 360, so I did not have an urge to actually go out and play the game. And I had a lot of peer pressure. Like people were literally trying to get me to drop $400 to buy a 360. They were trying just for me to play at that point two games because the third game hadn't even come out yet.
Yeah.
So by the time the original trilogy came out, I'm a PS3 owner, and EA decides to drop the entire Mass Effect trilogy on PlayStation 3 and stuff like that. So I went out, spent $60, bought that entire like collection and played it. And I'm telling you, like it I feel like the joy of experiencing Mass Effect now is being able to play every game is back to back. You finish Mass Effect 1, go straight to Mass Effect 2, because Mass Effect 2 hits you like a freaking freight train after you press start. And then Mass Effect 3 is like, you know what? We're gonna take everything you care about and we're gonna make you feel it even more.
Oh my god, I can't wait. I cannot wait. I'm glad I can
Yeah.
talk to professionals about this. I'll make sure to not play.
We're professionals. Oh my
You
god.
talk to professionals, aka old people who played it 15
Yeah, you
years
just
ago.
have more experience than me, so what can I say?
I'm jealous that you got
I
to play
hated
that.
Mass Effect 1 the first time I played it back in like 2007 or 2008.
Really?
I hated it. Yeah.
What were your complaints?
I think I expected it to be a shooter. And Mass Effect 1 is not really a shooter. It's an RPG. And then they get
Yeah.
more like shooters as the series goes along. They kind of
Yeah.
tone down the RPG stuff and make it a better shooter. And I was expecting it to just be like Halo with RPG stats, and it was not. And I think that's why I didn't like it.
Yeah, if it wasn't for friends like pushing me to play Mass Effect 1, because Mass Effect 1 came out in a time when like I just was not playing RPGs anymore. I feel like the RPG formula had gotten so stale, and it's because like my heyday of gaming was PS1, PS2. And anyone that knows anything about PS1, PS2, like it was just like it's a haven / graveyard for JRPGs and just RPGs in general and stuff like that. So like I was RPG'd out. And I was like, man, there's no way I'm going to play any more RPGs. And when I heard Mass Effect was out, and when Mass Effect was an RPG to play like an action game, I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't do it. And so, yeah, when I actually played the trilogy, if it wasn't for the fact that people were actually pushing me to keep on, I was like, man, like I'm just going to take my time. Like, no, play it. And you know, like beating Mass Effect 1 paid off though. It paid off tremendously.
I don't think I would have like played through the trilogy or started the trilogy if I wasn't trying to impress a girl, but
Hey,
definitely.
That's as good a motivation as
my
any.
motivation to boot up Mass Effect 1, and I'm
Yeah.
grateful for that decision.
There you go.
I've done worse things to impress women, so it's,
I know playing a game for 60 hours, that's tame.
Yeah.
Oh no!
No.
One of the greatest.
You need to play
of
one
all
of the best
time.
trilogies of all time. Whatever will I do?
It is a win-win situation for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, trying to impress a girl that plays games. Where were those when I was,
Yeah.
your age? But that's
Yeah. I know.
different story. for a different day and maybe another show, perhaps.
Yeah. Another topic. Yeah.
LeRon, what are you playing?
I'm back on my bullshit.
Monster Hunter, Tekken.
No Monster Hunter this past week. Tekken 8 for sure. I'm back in the Dead Space remake because I'm not sure if it's been announced yet, but I'm going to be on an upcoming book club for Boss Rush. And
Dead Space.
Ooh.
Yeah. Dead Space remake. I'm trying to finish it so I can see like the exclusive ending. Yeah. And I spent some time on Tsushima.
Good game.
It is a good game. I'm taking my time on it because like I'm really trying to enjoy it. And what's crazy for me is Dave, you already know, like I used to run a PlayStation podcast. Like my co-host used to ridicule me because like I had never played Ghost of Tsushima when it was a brand new game.
Who, Austin,
Stoy, Andre.
Anyone who sat in on that show over the.
It's a good game. It's a really good game.
Oh, it is a good game. I'm enjoying it, but I actually tried to play it on PS5, but I was playing the free copy you got being a member for PlayStation Plus and stuff like that, which is not a bad way to play it in all honesty. But I'm so much more of a PC gamer in this day and age and stuff like that. So like I didn't really get excited until like Sony just kind of like just said, "Oh, it's coming on PC. Oh, it'll be out next month on PC." I was like, "What?" So Ghost of Tsushima, I'm taking my time. Like I'm not really a completionist, but I am one of those people because it's open world. I will find myself in like the wrong part of the map, just like getting random stuff and like getting objectives done and collecting shit. So yeah.
Nice.
That's a good approach for Ghost of Tsushima because like you can get burned out on those open world games if you go too hard on them. So good to take your time, just breathe that in because it's one of the prettiest games I've ever played. You just want to like kind of just stop and look at the plants sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and I mean, it's whether you're playing on the PS5 or well, if you're playing on the PS4, PS5, or on the PC, like like the environments and just like the look of the game is just it's amazing and stuff like that. And of course, if you're like one of those extremists, you play on Kurosawa mode with like straight straight Japanese dialogue and stuff. Like yeah, like you're in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Cool.
it's a good time. But yeah,
Yeah.
like Tekken 8, like you already know, fighting game, like there's some new content and stuff like that. Heihachi's coming back to the game.
Yeah, how do you feel about that? Some people are not
Some people are
thrilled.
really jaded, but the majority of the well, I honestly understand because like I'm a Tekken player. I've been playing Tekken since Tekken 2 came out. And like it always felt like Heihachi was like the bad guy, and then Tekken 7 basically fleshed out the motivations of Heihachi, and come to find out that he wasn't the villain of the entire story and stuff like that. He gets killed in Tekken 7,
Mm.
and it feels like the end of, not just the end of an era, but it feels like the end of a long running joke because like they've tend to kill Heihachi twice. So when his ending happens in Tekken 7, everybody's like, okay, now we can move on and we can like get the story, finish the story now. So Tekken 8 comes out and there's no Heihachi in the roster and stuff like that, and all of a sudden, after like the season contents like this is getting fleshed out, like he's the next character for the first season pass. Like there's three Eddie, Lydia, Heihachi. There's 4 characters coming for the season pass and stuff like that. 2 of them are already out. Heihachi's the new one, and and a lot of people feel very, 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 very jaded because like it was said he's dead, he's not coming back, and all this stuff. Now I'm not sure if that was ever the thing, but with the interviews of Harada, the executive producer and director for Tekken, he said yes. He says he understands where everybody came from about how they feel about it and stuff like that, but also with the fact that there were people out there that really wanted Heihachi back. He had to pay attention to that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It-
So
Is
so
this
yeah.
is this a break glass for emergencies type thing?
You know what?
Is
I feel
Tekken
like
doing bad?
okay, so it's funny you say that because Tekken is actually the game. Tekken is actually the game that actually held up Bandai Namco's year last year. Bandai Namco did report that they are in the slump. Like they did not. I think they were 40% under like their what they wanted to project for monetary gain for last year and stuff like that. And Tekken was the only thing that was really leading it. Of course, like when Dragon Ball Z comes out, like Sparking Zero, like that's going to give them a nice little push, stuff like that. But Tekken did start floundering after it came out because there's all sorts of little controversies going on with it. People don't like the fact that a season pass was introduced after people got wooed into buying the game. People also didn't like the fact that like other things are going on, like the way they're announcing like their bonus characters, because like every season pass for Tekken always introduce new characters. Either introduce new characters or bring back old characters from the previous games and stuff like that. Nobody's really digging the way it's done because like for example, Street Fighter, like before like a couple weeks before Evo happened, Street Fighter just announced, hey, this is who you're getting when the next season pass comes out: Bison, Terry Bogard, Mai Shiranui, and all that stuff. Like you're getting and Elena, and like a grown-up version of Elena and stuff like that. Everyone knew exactly what they're getting right off the bat. But with Tekken, it was like drip content because okay, yeah, Eddie's coming. A few months go by. Oh, here comes Lydia. Evo happens. Heihachi gets announced, and now we're like, who's the 4th character and stuff like that. So it's a love-hate relationship with Tekken right now, and also Tekken 8 just it feels like a different convention on Tekken. It's still a fighting game in its core and stuff like that, but it feels like you no longer have to be strategic in your gameplay for it. Now, what I mean is like people who are just like crazy, just nutty people that like to mash buttons and stuff like that. Like the game favors those people. Like I was playing Tekken literally like 20 minutes before we actually recorded tonight, and I swear to God, like I was running into people that all they were literally doing was hitting buttons. But of course, like I'm the fool because I'm falling for this stuff. I should just be patient and defend, But it's hard when you're used to like waiting your turn, but it seems like you never get your turn.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, You know,
I think
Heihachi-
I think Tekken's doing all right. If there's one thing I've learned, in like my long storied career playing video games, is people are always going to find something to bitch and moan about. They are.
what?
They are.
No.
It doesn't matter. Your game could literally be perfect. Like for example, like Hades. Hades won a lot of Game of the Year awards, a couple years back and stuff like that. And people were bitching about that. People were like, "Who hard is the Souls like?" Or why does the guy have to be so sexy? Dumb shit like that.
What's this?
I'm like, if you don't like looking at pretty people, don't play the fucking game.
I mean, I like looking at pretty people.
I like looking at pretty people. I don't care if they're men or women. I like looking at pretty people.
Yep.
I mean, why they're called attractive? I don't know. Just whatever. Look, man. Okay. As for me, I'm gonna go next. I assume you're done.
I'm done. Yeah, I was done. I mean, you can look at the doc. If it doesn't have if it doesn't have a strike through, that's what I'm going to talk about.
I wasn't looking at the doc.
See, that's your fault then.
I look, man. There's 47 things going on at all times. Okay, I'm just trying to keep all the ducks in a row. Okay.
Hey, you're doing good. You took your meds today, didn't you? You're doing good.
Me? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, man. Ever since they like redid the prescription of this medication, I feel great.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
That's good. That's good. My assigned caregiver like put me on Adderall, and it's interesting.
Isn't it great?
Yeah. I feel weird. Okay, so technically it is a controlled substance.
I'm aware.
You're not supposed.
My pharmacist tells me that every time I pick it up.
You're not supposed to operate heavy machinery, but every now and then, because of my work, I do have to get into a car and drive, and it's an interesting experience driving.
just never mind. I take one every day before I drive 35 minutes to work. So.
You take it daily, because my doctor tried to tell me to take it daily. And I was like,
I'm supposed to take it, quote, as needed.
Yeah, I was supposed to take it as needed also, but I was also told from my first prescription, take it every day until that prescription runs out, and then when you get it filled, then start taking it as needed. And I'm like, wait, I'm 49 years old. At this point, I'm well adjusted with my attention deficit disorder.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, look at us.
Actually,
the
next time I'm playing like some Tekken sessions, I need to take my Adderall to see what happens.
Yeah, you're gonna win.
I might rank up.
You might win.
What's your current rank in Tekken?
I'm 21st Dan in online ranking, so that's Fujin. So yeah, like I mean, I'm basically in the part where like know your shit or you're gonna get your ass whooped.
Yeah.
Like there's no more like feeling your way through it at that point and stuff like that, because there was like a stark difference in yeah, they talk. Like there's talk all over, especially in fighting games in general, about being hard stuck. And yeah, like I felt like I was hard stuck for a while in purple rank. But once I got into blue rank, I was like, oh, this is a whole different ball of wax. Like I've been demoted a couple of times and had to fight my way back to my original rank.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but it's fun. It's fun. It can be frustrating, but I'm not hardcore enough in fighting games, because like a lot of people fighting game, like people who are going on the esports and the tournament circuit and stuff like that, like video games become your second job, because like you're trying to win money, you're trying to get the notoriety and stuff like that, you're trying to get grand titles and stuff like that. I'm never going to be that way, but also I kind of take gaming a little seriously, to the point where there are literally days when I'm playing Tekken, I'm like, man, my blood is boiling. It's time to turn this shit off.
Yeah.
Been there. As for me, not really anything new to talk about. I've been playing Ocarina of Time for book club. Man, just flying through, getting the shield, getting the sword, going through the Great Dooku Tree is like a 1 hour run, if that, at this point for me.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I've only completed Ocarina of Time once, I think, maybe, running through the Dooku Tree is like, I've probably done it 15 times at this point.
I swear the way I hear you people talk about it, it sounds like it's a Vietnam for you guys. Is that about right?
What?
The Deku tree, all that.
Not the Deku tree. Maybe the water temple for little kids playing it back in the day.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Maybe the bottom of the well,
Yeah.
something like that.
That's why I got a guide. Okay, that's why.
Yeah,
I got that.
I desperately need guides for video games to this day.
Man, let me tell
Oh,
you.
I use guides all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm not using a guide at this point, I'm not really taking the game seriously.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like if I didn't have a guide, I would not like the Dark Souls trilogy as much as I do now.
Oh yeah, don't even get me started. Like that's part of the experience with
That is part of the experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've gotten in this, speaking of guides, gotten in this kind of like this groove or this mindset of like collecting physical strategy guides again for
Mhm.
like older games. Let me tell you, it's an expensive hobby at this point.
Yeah. They're beautiful
was-
though. I
I
have
was
the
alive to that era, and then slowly watched it die out. The
Yeah.
physical strategy book thing.
yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
I recently got the big strategy book for Morrowind, which was one of my
Ooh.
favorites from back in the day. And that was another one where like I would play that with that book open with, because it's such for then it was like easily the most dense, complicated game I'd ever played.
Yeah, man, Morrowind, what a revolution on the Xbox.
Oh yeah.
So I've been playing Ocarina of Time, making my way through Destiny. The Act 2 of Episode Echoes has ended. The big reveal of who the conductor is happened, and it's
Is it you? Are you
No.
the conductor?
no,
Is it anybody we should care about?
it's
Well,
Maya
I mean,
Sundaresh.
I don't play Destiny, so I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't play
that is.
Destiny, but yeah, just a shot in the dark.
No, quick lore piece on Maya Sundaresh, everybody. An old bounty hunter / Vex scientist who became obsessed with making copies of herself, and she has made somewhere in the realm of 220 copies of herself, and the conductor is Maya Sundaresh Prime, I guess you would say. They
Nice.
don't call it that, but anyways, and yeah, she's controlling a rogue network of Vex robots. So that's kind of the whole premise of the episode going on right now.
Okay.
I know some people who say Destiny 2 is a second job that you pay for.
Yeah.
You pay that.
Sounds about right.
You do pay for it. Yes, a lot of money is involved.
Yeah.
Especially if you want the Mass Effect skins for your characters.
Mass Effect skins. Okay.
Yeah,
I guess it's time for me to hop on Destiny 2.
I'm flying the Normandy as my spaceship.
What?
Yep.
I am so fucking jealous.
The Alliance cruiser, which kind of looks like a Mako without wheels, is my Sparrow. And my armor set is the Shepard N7 armor on my Titan.
That's right. I remember now. This is the thing that Mass Effect fans were so upset about, because like this was not anything that was Mass Effect related.
Yeah, because they announced it on N7 Day, I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then my Warlock has the Shadow Broker Liara set.
So, say what now?
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
I think the Hunters have Garrus's armor set, but I'm not 100% sure because I don't like Hunters, and well,
that collab does make sense though.
Yeah, it's the one that makes sense. The Witcher and God of War don't make sense. Ghostbusters doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Mass Effect makes sense.
Yeah, Mass Effect makes sense.
I've also been playing more Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate, which I am addicted to it. So, okay, here's the thing. I hate roguelikes. I hate them. I'm treating this as an alternative to an arcade game. Just how I talked myself into keeping them to play it. The combat is really good in this game. It's like it's doing something really unique that Turtles has not done in ever really. I've mostly been playing as Leonardo, although I've made a run with each turtle. I think Raph is my least favorite. Raph is kind of like an up close brawler type character, and like
Least favorite in the game?
yeah, in the game.
Well, Raph is always like a
I
close
know,
brawler, if we're being honest.
I know, but that like stats actually matter in this game.
I feel like in roguelikes, I'd always prefer more longer range because
Yeah.
it's like you get overwhelmed really quickly if it's all too close. Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah. That's kind of why I like Leonardo, because he's kind of like an all around kind of character. He has the shurikens that you can throw as like a range. You can get up close with your katanas. You can do a cool dash move that you can kind of unlock damage abilities through your dash move. So I really like Leonardo. Donatello is like the long range melee character, obviously with the bow staff, and then Michelangelo actually has a lot of speed and actually can have a lot of range if you unlock the right pieces. But he also dies the fastest, so his life bar is not very. His defense needs boosted, real bad. But I am really enjoying it. I think the characters are my favorite Turtles designs since probably the original movie, in my opinion. They are
Nice.
like, I love the way they look in this. It's like a mix between, I would say, like the 2001 cartoon, 3 cartoon, whenever they put it on Fox Kids or whatever that was.
2003.
Yeah. And then mixed with like, has hints of the Michael Bay movies, but not like awful. They have like, they have like taped hands, and Donatello has like the goggles, and like, they all have like little things that stick out about their personality without like being stupid looking, I guess. But April is cool. She's there to like kind of give you little bits of the story. Splinter, you turn in dragon coins to upgrade your abilities with Splinter, who like the whole story kind of revolves around Splinter has been kidnapped by the Shredder, and you're jumping through these different dimensions to try to find him. And he kind of helps you upgrade through like, if you've seen the original movie, when they're all sitting around the campfire, and he kind of shows up as like a force ghost almost in the flames, and he kind of shows up like that to help you upgrade your turtles permanently, and then each run has temporary upgrades that you can have. So I'm really enjoying it. The boss battles are cool. I've fought Leatherhead, and I've fought a giant Mauser, which was weird. I have I fought a boss that I don't recognize, which is weird for me because I'm like a huge Turtles fan, and I just don't recognize this character. And so I've been doing like a run before bed every night, and it's really great. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
If you have a Switch or Apple Arcade, or I don't know if it's on PC or not, but I assume it's coming. If it's not on PC already, it will be there at some point, and I recommend it. Even if you don't like roguelikes, it kind of has that same feeling I had with Dead Cells, but even more so, which like, it's just so fun to play that I don't really care that it's a roguelike. I did put Dead Cells down after, like 5 or 6 hours because I just got tired of starting over. But this progression feels more solidified than Dead Cells did, I guess I would say. So really, really, really great great story, great version of the Ninja Turtles. So
nice.
I also saw Deadpool and Wolverine this weekend.
We can talk about that actually.
Yeah,
I feel like I have a good opinion on that movie. I think it was amazing.
Yeah,
I think
it was awesome. No spoilers though, because LeRon hasn't seen it yet.
No spoilers.
No.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm lame.
No worries. I didn't expect to anyway. The movie's still new. I feel like, just in case, I wouldn't want to get into any spoilers openly until like a couple weeks from now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna do a spoiler cast at some point once LeRon.
Yeah,
sees it,
I
we're
plan
gonna-
to watch it. I plan to watch it real soon, so I can be in a spoiler cast with you, Corey. Like my main reason is holding me back is I need to rewatch the second Deadpool, because like the first time I watched it, I didn't really like it, and
I
so like it kind of soured my feel on the franchise by this point.
I actually rewatched the first two movies recently, and like the first one is really good. The second
Very
one
good.
is kind of like it's just okay. I like the idea of the second movie, but like it just I don't know. There are parts that work and parts that don't for me. But the third movie was like I said before, like I got that feeling that everybody got once the last Spider-Man movie came out. This was my Spider-Man moment of like, oh my gosh, like I love the 90s X-Men cartoon. You know, for better or for worse, love the Fox Marvel movies growing up.
Yeah.
Like, uh,
I was definitely for both of them. I think when in the theater for the Spider-Man movie
mhm.
with all the different Spider-Men, like everyone erupted, they got off their seats, popcorn was flying, people were clapping and cheering, right? But for this screening I got, at least for the Deadpool Wolverine movie, uh certain scenes no one really like kind of reacted to a lot. I feel like I there are parts where I would just stand up and cheer myself, expecting everyone else in the theater to like give the
Yeah.
same reaction. But I guess there just aren't as many dedicated X-Men fans out there.
They're the worst,
I know.
man. X-Men though, man. I gotta say, without spoiling anything, the moment in the last 10 minutes, and that moment when they're back,
Yeah. The slow mo, yeah. It's
oh,
awesome.
oh, like, oh my gosh, so good.
It is really good. Good movie.
If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Todd Oxtra. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network. Speaking of good, we have a lot to get through in the next little bit. So we were gonna do our normal weekly segment, but something happened today, as of the day of this recording, that kind of pissed a lot of people off, me included, being a fan of this game and this company. We're gonna talk about the Bungie layoffs today. So we're recording this on Wednesday, July 31st. So you will hear this on August 5th, I think is Monday. Bungie laid off 220 people today with no notice. This came from a letter on Bungie.net from Pete Parsons, the CEO. They reduced staff by 17%. They not only did they lay off 220 people, but they are integrating 155 other employees into Sony Interactive Entertainment proper, which means they will be losing close to 400 people from the studio. This was so as someone who pays a lot of attention to obviously ingrained in the Destiny community and pays attention to Bungie, this we knew layoffs were coming since the last round of layoffs, because it has been talked about quite a bit in the community that people were going to be laid off. It was not known that it was going to be this bad again, especially because they laid off 108 people the last time, I think was the number.
Mm-hmm.
And this just continues the trend of a lot of developers just laying off staff to essentially save themselves, right? And this goes for Bungie's leadership too, because if they don't hit a certain financial mark, the leadership board gets taken over by Sony, and by PlayStation Studios, and then Bungie will no longer be a quote unquote independent studio as part of Sony. They will not then be a PlayStation studio, along with the rest of the roster that Sony has. And so a lot of this was believed to have been done to avoid that situation. And it sucks because last time it was understandable to an extent where like Lightfall wasn't very good. The player base lost interest. They missed revenue marks by 40%. And so layoffs were inevitable, I think, at that point. When you miss your, yearly revenue mark by 40%, that closes most studios. But the final shape is their most successful expansion since Forsaken. And they have touted as much since then. And to lay off this many people, and I know people at Bungie who got laid off, and I reached out to some of them. I haven't heard back from them. I wanted to see if they would comment, and even if it's anonymous, to kind of talk about. And nobody's obviously they're probably staying off because this is just such a hurtful, thing going on. But it's seeing this really sucks. And it's not just them. Like Armor Studios laid off a bunch of people today too, which is kind of like a smaller single A indie studio publisher. Like, man, layoffs, they're just not stopping. So I kind of
are these freelancers being laid off, or
nope, these are
full
all
contract
full-time,
employees?
Yeah,
these are
are
full-time employees.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Verge kind of came out later and kind of they dug through, and it was a lot of QA people, a lot of merchandising people, a lot of some executives, but not many, even though they said it affected every level of the company, and some developers, but they were all, none of them were contracted. They were all full-time employees.
Wow.
So
the thing that like especially sucked about this one, and like they all suck, and it's just like a never ending just repeat cycle of like, you see the news about layoffs, you feel for the people who got laid off, you are angry at the people who over projected, or that's something they said in the Bungie thing, is like we were overly ambitious and the company's in the red, and it's like, well, whose fucking fault is that? It's not the people that got laid off. But so we're in this constant cycle of being like, the people who caused this are not the people who are affected by this, really. And then they had the nerve, this really pissed me off, they had the nerve in their release about the layoffs to, I don't know if they're trying to be subtle about it, but they transitioned, like talking about the layoffs, talking about why it happened, and then transitioned into, please be excited about the new action adventure game that we're developing. And that was like, hey, can you just like announce that later? Like, can you at least act like the most important thing you're announcing is that 220 people lost their jobs?
Yeah. And that's Pete Parsons for you. And he's been an executive at Bungie since almost the beginning. He's their CEO now, and he just doesn't want to give up that spot, which is like, okay, but like you said, not even you're starting to promote your new game in a layoff press release. Like,
yeah, exactly.
What are you doing? Like, read the room, guy.
Yeah, exactly. If you've been an executive for this long, then you should know that it's going to suck to lay people off, and it's going to suck to have to put this announcement out there and face the backlash, which he went private on Twitter because he didn't want to face the backlash.
Yeah.
So shout out to him once again for not, owning up to what's going on here.
Yeah. It's also really mature too. Yeah.
Especially since it's just happened 8 months ago.
Yeah. So, but then, yeah, like you said, like if you've been an executive for this long, then like Couldn't you, or did they lay off the PR people who would be like, maybe don't try to announce a new game in the layoff
They
announcement?
actually did lay off
Yeah.
their
Okay,
PR
well, there we
department,
go,
and they're
yeah.
going through Uber strategists now.
There we go.
Shout out to CJ from Uber Strategists. He's a nice guy. Get emails
I
from him
think
every day.
I think what really sucks is the fact that they're so throwable. Like developers, people who gave Bungie such good projects like this are just seen as like disposable. That's what's like really
Mhm.
heartbreaking. Because to me, I think video game is a form of art, and there are some video games out there that deserves to be framed and put into a museum somewhere, right? Which also directly makes the developers artists in a way,
Mhm.
right? And so you have these, uh, developers, developing studios, corporations like Bungie, sort of like harvesting these developers, these artists, quote unquote, for their work, releasing it, and then seeing these people as throwaway.
And then
These are like
just putting them out the pasture.
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
I got my water. This is the empty plastic bottle. Let's throw it in the trash.
Mm-hmm.
Recycle it for other people, other developers, and that's what's like really. It's such a depressing thing to know about the industry. Like I love the games, we all love games, but knowing that this is a product of like unfairness in the industry and like uh the whole developers themselves not being respected enough, that's just like that's a bad thought to have in the back of your head.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's yet another example of how art and like corporations are fundamentally incompatible. It's just you can't they can't mix. There's always
Yeah.
going to be that clash.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it really sucks to see something like this happen at a developer like Bungie, especially because they've always been like projected themselves as community first, developer first. The developers care about the games they're making. I mean, you look at the original Halo trilogy. You look at the old Marathon games. You even look at something like Oni, right? Like, I mean, that game's not very good, but like there are still people at Bungie that worked on Oni and defend it, and they're proud of it. And it's like, these developers at Bungie are so proud of Destiny, and especially right now, right? I mean, look at all the positivity around Destiny and the final shape. I mean, LeRon, how many times have you made fun of me for like, oh, the final shape's probably it for me. I just want to see how it ends, to me being like, oh my God, I need to see what happens next.
Okay. So real quickly here, man. Like for people who are new out here and this is their very first episode of the Boss Rush podcast. First of all, thank you, welcome. We hope to see more of you. uh, for months, Corey was like, "Man, I just cannot wait for the final shape to come out because I'm done as soon as it comes out."
I did.
That was his level of commitment and stuff like that. And then for like the next 3 weeks straight, like it was the only thing he could fucking talk about. And, it's like, man, like this guy sounds like me when a new Monster Hunter game comes out. Except I've never said I'm going to quit Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
No. But in all honesty, I am so glad that a franchise you love is able to like reinvigorate you or bring you back to life and stuff like that. Because we hate to see it. Like we just had a conversation about Tekken and like how the community is feeling about that game and stuff like that. And it feels like, and honestly, if you hear like the majority, well, I feel like the negative people are always the ones that speak the loudest. They're always the ones you hear first and stuff like that. I'm enjoying Tekken. I've gotten used to like the changes and stuff in Tekken and stuff like that. Like, if we're gonna go with my favorite franchise, Monster Hunter, for example, like I feel like Monster Hunter Tri on the Wii was like the weakest edition, and that was the one I played. I want to say maybe I played like that game's lucky if you got 200 hours out of me, where other Monster Hunter games have gotten over 1,000 hours out of me. Yeah, like I play that game. I play that game just as hardcore as people play World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, this whole thing, like, we kind of knew it was coming, but we're still surprised when it happened. In all seriousness,
Mm-hmm.
because I thought with the way the final shape, like how it rolled out, I was like, hey, this can be their stay of execution. But the fact that he still wound up laying off all these people and stuff like that once again, I always feel like I'm the person on the Boss Rush podcast is always the most vocal about layoffs and people getting blindsided and stuff like that, because in my working career, I've been laid off from a very good job, an engineering job, and that shit sucked.
Mhm.
That shit sucked, and it was because they overhired. They overhired, and yep, 2 years later, I don't have that job anymore. That job that was honestly going to be what set me up, and I would have retired with it. So yeah, I feel like I'm vocal because I've put my skin in the game and something similar to that, and things of that nature.
Mhm.
And yeah, going back to the whole like like these people are basically artists, like like stuff like that. Like, how do you how can you justify staying in your career if the industry is this fickle, you know? And let's look at it for what it is. None of these damn execs and CEOs are taking pay cuts unless you're in Japan and work for Nintendo. Those are about the only ones. We don't see this shit happening in the UK. We don't see this shit happening in Eurasia. We don't see it happens in North or South America. Like like it always. Like, yeah, like we're gonna just bleed. We're just gonna bleed out like all of our talent, and then we're gonna be like, "Woe is me, we can't make any good games." Like that's what happened to EA and Activision a while back. We
Yeah,
don't
I
have any
was
talent to make these games.
yeah, I was gonna say, like, I don't wish this because obviously I want good games to come out and I want Corey here to keep enjoying Destiny for the rest of his life.
Mhm.
But this is what happens. Like, these companies, they overshoot, they overhire, they fire people, and then they're like, we lost all of this, this knowledge, basically. The
Mhm.
Yeah.
people who were instrumental in using the knowledge they had to, like you said, turn around Destiny from one expansion to the next, a lot of those people are probably gone now, and they're going to have to either teach new people how to do it, or worse, they're going to make one person do the job of two people and hope that that works, which both of those options are not good for the art.
Mhm.
That's another thing that kind of infuriates me too, because we have all these HR departments talking about how retention is the biggest way to lose money, for a company and stuff like that. And like, I don't know, like, do these people not listen to the own words that it's like the call is coming from inside the house,
Yeah.
if you can't listen to the people, they're there to make sure you keep making money, or you at least stay in the black, like, why the hell are you there?
Yeah.
Right.
Especially
Yeah. I
because like,
think.
oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry. You go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, especially because like when you're speaking about Bungie, like over the course of the last 6 months before in between layoffs, Joe Blackburn, their game director, left. Katarina Macedo left, who was their expansions director for the last 4 years. You know, Michael Salvatore got laid off during the last round, which is like he's like a legendary composer, right up there with Marty McDonald. I mean, I know he's kind of a weirdo now, but like,
And not just legendary, right before he got laid off, didn't he win an award on the Game Awards?
Mhm.
He won an award.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so like you have all these big names leaving the company before the layoffs, and it's like, I mean, there's just, I mean, their community people have all left. Like Deej left, Damage left, and I mean, Damage is back now, but like, Liana Rupert left. Well, she got laid off and was like very vocal about being laid off, and like, it's just all these people. Christopher Barrett got laid off, who was, at one point the game director of Marathon, which now we don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, like that was the other thing too. Like when I read the statement and stuff, I was like, "What's happening with Marathon?" Because I didn't see anything about that. Like all they want to talk about was Destiny, which at the same time I get, because Destiny is the only thing they've been fucking doing for the
The only
last
thing
like
it's the only thing that's
Destiny's been
making
going
the
on for
money.
what, like
10 years.
Destiny's been going on for what, 10 years? Okay, I was about to say 8.
September is the 10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just, this is so crazy that all this, it just continues to happen. And so I looked up how there's a game industry layoff tracker website. And in 2023, just over 11,000 people got laid off for the year. We are in June, and we are at
We've surpassed it.
11,250 people, and that has not added the Bungie or the Armor Studios layoffs today.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's been surpassed.
So that would be around 1,150 or 11,500 people laid off this
Yeah.
year already.
Could it be the fact that these companies are throwing so much money at the games that they're producing by the time it's out and by the time it's released, they don't have enough in the pockets to really sustain the developers?
Yeah. Well,
And if that
thing
was the case, then why wouldn't they just
Mhm.
hire more freelancers instead of
Yeah. The thing with Bungie is that they overhired. They drastically overhired because they had huge ambitions, especially when COVID hit. Right? They bought an old mall to build a new headquarters for Bungie. They were going to open a publishing arm in Europe to publish games. They created something like 6 to 10 incubation teams to create new franchises that is in part of this article, which is what that new game is that they spun out into a new studio, which they can't handle, that PlayStation is now going to take over. And they wanted to run three AAA franchises at one studio with multiple games and spin-off games and mobile games attached to all these franchises.
The decision making in AAA gaming is so short-sighted that like these things, like they say these are unavoidable, but it's just because the people who are making the decisions are not thinking long term. You say like at the beginning of COVID, this is when like money was unlimited for gaming, right? Everyone thought like, oh, gaming's spiking. Okay, now it's time to spend a ton of money, hire a bunch of people, start a bunch of projects.
Yeah.
And it's all just short-sighted decision making. And then we get to more short-sighted decision making when it's like, oh, we're not going to meet our targets. We need to cut costs. Well, the way we cut costs the fastest is to lay people off.
Yeah, like cutting. I don't feel like I've like I have a partnership in the business that I work that I work at and stuff like that. And the only time and like it's not like we have like this crazy ass workforce, but like it, but like right now, like like if let's say we weren't making like like our profit and stuff like that, like we would like me and my partner will like re-strategize like our marketing or like our pricing or how we push stuff. And we like we would never cut off the workforce unless the workforce is the real problem.
Yeah, but it's just, what can we do right now to make our numbers look better tomorrow? We can cut a bunch of people. And games are such a weird product for like huge, billion-dollar companies, because games take so long to actually see the return on what you're doing that
Yeah.
it feels worse when the decisions are so short-sighted, because like I forget what developer it was or what publisher recently like fired a bunch of people because games were taking too long. And it's like, what did you think was going to happen? Like, this stuff takes a long time.
Wasn't that Microsoft that did that shit?
It might have been Microsoft. I mean, I was going to joke earlier. You guys could just have like a weekly "Who Gets Laid Off This Week" segment on the podcast if you wanted to be super cynical about it.
We
You
could do a bingo chart.
we thought about that, and then we depressed ourselves. So
it's a very depressing way to run the show. But it's just I mean, games are such a weird product, right? And there's so much money that, like, I feel like people who don't understand the industry get into it because they think like, oh, gaming's where all the money is. So that's we're gonna follow it there. And like, not to say the CEO of Bungie doesn't understand the gaming industry, but like it just, these quick decisions, they're just heartless to, the person who made the decision that put us in these positions is not going to feel the repercussions of it. It's the, like you said, people that work in merchandising who have no fucking involvement in these level of decisions, right? They're just going to work, trying to do their job and go home. And now that's gone.
Yeah. It's I feel for everybody who got laid off today. I really do, because like,
Yeah.
I mean, if a game isn't successful, like you can kind of see it from a business perspective, but like the Final Shape was successful by all counts, right? Financially.
There's a case with that with EA and Dead Space remake.
Mhm.
They were in talks to do the Dead Space 2 remake, but because it didn't reach the sales didn't reach their expectations, that idea got scrapped, unfortunately,
Yeah.
because they didn't sell as many millions of copies as they wanted to, as projected. And that like
I'm
went
still
below
holding
their
out hope.
expectations. And that's just like, it's crazy to think about, because like you see Nintendo games like barely hitting the 1 million mark and then getting a sequel for them a couple years later, whereas EA is like, oh, this didn't make like this didn't reach 10 or 20 million, so we're gonna scrap their sequel that we had in plan because it didn't like reach our expectations. So it's like a game could do so well, but then because of these like sort of like umbrella corporations, it's just like it's not really gonna get anywhere.
Yeah, there's tons of examples across the industry of well-received games that, they didn't sell 30 million copies, but they sold pretty well, or they got like insanely good reviews,
Right.
and it's not enough to make a good game. It's like, as a someone working at some of these companies, if you do your job super well and you make a very good game, you are guaranteed nothing.
Yep. Yeah, it's not a safe spot to be in, for sure.
No.
It's but I want to talk about the bright side about some of these layoffs real quick before
There's a bright side.
not like a bright side, but like
I know.
silver
I'm
lining,
being
I guess.
sarcastic. I'm being sarcastic.
I think with some of these layoffs, and as some of these larger corporate kind of publicly traded companies start falling apart, I think you're going to start seeing a lot of that AA space kind of grow with new studios and talent, and create games that are maybe budgeted correctly, expectations are set correctly. You're going to see great, leaders from these other studios. I think you look at, and maybe Concord's a terrible example, but those are all people that left Xbox 343, Bungie, EA, and they came together and they're like, we know how to make a shooter. Let's make a shooter. Let's make a shooter that we think will be satisfying. And from all accounts, Concord is fun to play. It's just the characters are kind of bland or boring. I haven't played it. I saw a trailer. I thought it looked kind of cool, but also I hate the DualShock, so I'm probably not going to play it. But yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of these smaller studios pop up, and that was kind of a joke, by the way. We had a whole discussion last week on the DualShock controller.
Yeah, I know. That's why I haven't said anything.
I know. Although that Concord one looks sick, and the Astrobot one,
it does.
Sick.
Yeah,
I'm tempted to buy that Concord controller just because I feel like the Concord is going to crash and burn, and like this is going to be the proof that the thing even existed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of those things where Sony's investing in something that's not really gonna turn out well for them.
Yeah.
We have Overwatch at home.
I think that's the other thing too. Like all these companies are on like kind of like the back foot because like they were chasing a trend that was popular at the time, but they didn't realize the development time that it took for it. For example, let's look at Suicide Squad. Hopefully, everybody got their free copy of Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. Like when Amazon was like, "Here, have it," because I think the servers are coming down real soon anyway. But I think they're supposed to deprecate it down to where like it can be at least a single player game. I think that was the plan for it. I'm not sure though. Don't quote me on that one.
There's a rumor that they're going to do a quote unquote offline mode.
Yeah, that part. Well, I think that was the other thing that kind of screwed them too, because like they put an always online clause into their game, which I'm like, if you don't want to get any sales, like tell people that you have to have an internet connection to play the game. Like you will not get if it's not traditionally a game that you need an online connection for. You know what I mean? Like like for example, I know. Well, I mean, I probably would have bought Tekken 8, regardless. But if they turn around and said Tekken 8, like you always need to have an always online presence, I probably would be like, nope. I know a lot of people have been like, nope, this is a fighting game. What the hell are y'all talking about?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if there's anything else productive we can say about this topic. It just really sucks, and I feel for all the people out there who lost their jobs. I hope everybody lands on their feet. I saw a bunch of companies tweet out, "Hey, we're hiring. Apply for our jobs." Like I know a lot of Xbox studios did today
because they know that's some talent. This is Bungie we're talking about. This is some
Bungie,
talent.
Yeah. EA 343. A lot of shooter companies were tweeting out stuff today.
Remedy also, I remember them.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think even Treyarch and Infinity Ward were tweeting out like they were hiring for their projects. So I hope everybody affected finds something. It really sucks.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the next topic, shall we? I lost the doc. LeRon, what's our next topic?
Our next topic is we're rolling into our banter of the week.
Yeah.
Always head over to bossrush.net and check out. We actually have a feature section for all of our Boss Rush banters and stuff like that. So just head over to the website. The website has been newly reconstructed and redone and stuff like that. So kudos to the behind the scenes team that was on that. And by the behind the scenes team, I mean Corey.
No, they all suck. It's all broken.
Yeah. So this week's Boss Rush banter. Hang on, because I'm having a hard time pulling it up. Okay, so this one is from Julie Yang. I didn't quite get. It's kind of weird sometimes how like Yang is pronounced and stuff like that. So I'm sorry in advance if I butchered your name, Julie. I'm so sorry. But Julie basically like asks, what games are your guilty pleasure? So like that's what we're talking about right now on this segment of the show.
Great. Guilty pleasure games. Let me tell you how much I love Disney Dreamlight Valley.
Let's go.
Let me tell you.
I'm going to stop you right there.
There's a Mulan event going on right now. Okay.
Ooh.
I got me my
I gotta get that internet now, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta get it now. There's only 14 days left in the event. You gotta, get your green combat dress going.
Yeah.
I missed the Disney Parks one. I'm very upset because that was the one I was looking forward to the most. And then I put it down because Destiny came out and I missed it. So let me tell you though, Disney Dreamlight Valley is people are obsessed with Animal Crossing. Okay. Disney Dreamlight Valley is my Animal Crossing.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
You mentioned that earlier with the nostalgia for Disney, right? So here we go.
Yeah.
We're looping it back in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's a Disney adult.
Look, man.
Wow.
I invested so much money in Scrooge McDuck's store. Okay. I now get a 10% discount on all items sold through the store. Okay.
There we go.
That's a flex. We should really respect him now from that.
Yeah.
I feel like that. I feel like it definitely was a flex.
More gold for Scrooge's vault. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, by guilty pleasure game, is it like a game that's like redeemed as not as good as it should be? It's like a game that you wouldn't outspokenly say you play a lot.
I would say it's a game that you're embarrassed to tell people that you play.
Or it could be a game that's not common for you to play,
Yeah. Let's see.
Like Disney Dreamlight Valley.
Yeah. Unwind after some Destiny with some Disney farming or whatever happens in that game.
Look, you gotta game the system. I'm out there farming and selling my bananas to fucking Goofy so he can give me coins so I can go buy new outfits from Scrooge. Okay,
so he can pay for Kingdom Hearts 4.
Yeah. Attaboy.
Man.
Sora will show up in there someday.
I don't think I have any guilty. Only thing that comes to mind is Fortnite. I play that a lot while in between a lot of different games or with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not really the type to go out and be like, "Hey, my name is Sophie. I play Fortnite."
Yeah.
Every day at 8 p.m. And it's like that's kind of my guilty pleasure. Like I don't openly wear it on my chest. It's just I find pleasure in playing Fortnite, and I'm guilty in it. So
I like the.
Oh, go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
I was gonna say like the concept of the guilty pleasure. Like we're all old or mature enough in some way where it's like you're not ashamed to say that you play a game like that,
Yeah.
but it could be just like one of those things where like people might not expect that I like to play a certain type of thing. I don't know, maybe some other people would have things that they would like hide their computer monitor if like someone walked in the room or something like that, but
He's like, get out.
yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
But I don't really have anything where it's like, I would be ashamed to say that I'm playing this or something. But there are things that are unexpected or in genres that, people may not expect.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, there are TV shows I don't tell people that I used to watch. LeRon made fun of me because we talked about it on a show a couple years ago. Guilty pleasure TV shows.
Yeah.
Here's the
I used
thing.
to be really into reality TV shows.
Look,
I
I had a phase.
I
used
watched.
to be big in the Sailor Moon.
I mean, I watched Gossip.
Sailor Moon's amazing. I don't know what you're talking about.
Sailor Moon's tight.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay. I'll embarrass myself even more. Jim and the Holograms.
I mean,
It
I'm
sounds
gonna
like a little bit before my time.
I'm
Yeah, it was definitely before your time.
Before my time. Okay.
I'm gonna.
Okay, so Jim, that show like was around when the original GI Joe show was new.
Wow.
Dang. LeRon, you're so
And
old.
GI Joe's still ancient to me.
There's so many incarnations of GI Joe. I looked at the Wikipedia for GI Joe. There's been 7 animated series.
Yeah. That's what they do. They keep playing on that nostalgia, keep bringing it back.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I feel like GI Joe's in due time to die though, because now they're just like thriving in collaborations, nothing really original.
Yeah. Guilty pleasure games for me is like rhythm games, especially Dance Dance Revolution. And I mean, if I walk past a cabinet, I will drop some quarters in and play.
I love rhythm games. Rhythm games are definitely my secret ingredient to being happy.
I love them too.
Same. And here's the crazy part about it. Like there was when DDR was just getting off the ground and everything. Like I would walk past. Well, I used to live in arcades, so like I would walk past those machines, and I was like, "There's no way in hell you're gonna catch me jumping up and down that damn thing." Stuff like that. One day though, I was off from work early. And I had to stop by the mall for something. So I always run into an arcade and play the whatever flavor of the week fighting game it was. I think at the time, the first Marvel vs. Capcom was out.
Wow.
Yeah, the first Marvel vs. Capcom was out. So I was in there playing for a little bit, and then I just happened to walk past the DDR cabinet, and like they would have covers of songs and stuff like that. So I actually heard a hook for a song that I recognized, like growing up and stuff like that. So I stopped for a moment. I just watched it for a second. I was like, okay, let me just drop a couple of tokens in here and see how to play. Of course, I did not do well that first time. So but then the gamer spirit in me was like, hold on. I'm going to get good at this game. So I walked down the GameStop, bought like the 2 PlayStation Dance Dance Revolution games and a gamepad.
Nice.
and that was my history. Like I played DDR. Let me see. So when I discovered that DDR, I want to say like Third Mix was out. So I played DDR from Third Mix, 6, 7, 8. I played 9 iterations of DDR, like in the arcade,
So you definitely were around that, yeah.
Yeah, and then I realized because I was getting competitive. I was actually going to tournaments and stuff for this game. That's and stuff like that. But then it got to a point where like one day, like I was playing, I was still having fun, but I was noticing I just wasn't hitting those scores the way I used to. And then one time I was watching an episode of the Justice League cartoon, and when Amanda Waller was talking about Bruce Wayne and stuff, and talking about how Batman was just getting old and slow, so he was losing his edge, I was like, oh shit, that's me in DDR right now. It's time to stop. It's time to hang it up.
I like how you compared Batman fighting crime to DDR.
Yeah,
it's true. Well, just imagine like you're like an athlete that's gone to the Olympics quite a few times, got your medals and stuff, and you realize you can no longer keep up with like. Yeah. That's where I was at.
Yeah, it'll happen to LeBron one of these times.
It happened to Lightning McQueen in Cars 3.
There we go. I think my like guilty pleasure thing that I wrote down is I play old sports games as like a comfort game. And so like it's not cool to say that you play sports games at this time and age. If you say you play Madden, people are like, all right. So I mean I don't play the new Madden games. I don't think they're good, but I try them every year. Like, during the off season, they'll put like last year's Madden game on Game Pass or something. And I always try it. And I was like, nope, not this one. Maybe next year. But I do play sports games from like 2004, 2005.
Yes.
Which is my nostalgic time, both for sports games, but also for like the time that I cared about football the most and the time that like I had the most fun as a fan of football and baseball. So right now on my Steam Deck, if I'm having a night where like I'm feeling down or my brain is too busy and I can't focus on a game that has a story, I'll play MVP Baseball 2005 on my Steam Deck and listen to podcasts. And I did a fantasy draft with the Reds and drafted a bunch of players from 2005. I still remember everybody. And that's like a somewhat guilty pleasure because it's like, what are you doing playing this baseball game from 2005, man? But that makes me happy. So I'm not really ashamed of like anything that I play really, but this is the closest thing to like the spirit of the question, I think.
That's amazing. I love that you played sports games from that because that's about the time that I think I'm probably stopped falling in love with sports games was like the 360 era, I would say.
It was Madden 06. The first one on the 360 was when I was like, this is not as good as it was last year.
Yeah. I think I continued to buy the PS2 versions, even though I had a 360.
I think they kept making PS2 games until like
games?
What's up?
Was that the downfall of sports games?
Mm-hmm.
HD, in my opinion, is the downfall of sports games because they were always trying to be realistic with Madden and 2K and stuff like that. But when they could actually be more realistic, that's when it stopped being fun for me. Now, I will say, when I have a little bit more disposable income, I'm going to buy that college football game that just came out recently and see how that is. Because I know a bunch of people are really excited about that.
I used to be big into the NCAA college football games. Like, and I'm like, I'm kicking myself that I haven't even tried this yet. But I believe I believe it's on PC Game Pass though, right?
If you have EA Play, you get a 10-hour trial.
Yeah.
So, which is how I play Madden every year.
Game Pass Ultimate, you have EA Play.
Yeah, I have Game Pass Ultimate.
Yeah, which is how I play Madden every year. I get my 10 hours of play, and I'm like, I don't know if I really enjoy this, so I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah, this is enough. Yeah, see you next year. That's what I do too.
See you after the Super Bowl when you are here full time.
Yeah, when I'm it's like this is the guilty thing about this. So I still follow baseball. I watch a lot of games. I edit podcasts when I watch baseball because it's something I can multitask and do. If my favorite team, the New York Yankees, loses and I'm mad, I will play MVP Baseball 2005 and like take it out on the computer. That's a guilty pleasure.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh man, I remember when I got my PS2, the first 3 games I bought were The Bouncer, NBA Live 2001, and Madden 2001. And I just, oh man, Eddie George was on the cover.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. So good. I was like, that was the game I pointed to and was like, games will never look better than this.
Yeah.
Of course I was wrong, but
Final Fantasy X was one of those, just to loop that back in real quick. When I first played Final Fantasy X, I was like, this is the best thing I've ever seen.
The opening cutscene with the bubble when they're all playing Blitzball in the bubble, and you see Orin standing on the edge, and the big tidal wave that's Sin comes. Oh, so good.
Yeah, that was good. That was impressive for its time.
Good. So good.
I hope you had Devil May Cry in your PS2 collection at some point too. It's one of my favorite PS2 games.
Yeah,
hell yeah.
I have a love-hate relationship with Devil May Cry because I love Devil May Cry 1, could not stand Devil May Cry 2, love Devil May Cry 3, and Devil May Cry 4 really pissed me off. DMC Devil May Cry basically like restored my faith in Devil May Cry, even though everybody disavows that game. And Devil May Cry 5, I think, is pretty good.
Okay. The DMC Devil May Cry, I feel like it is a very good game. Not a good Devil May Cry game, but it's a very good game, regardless.
There you
Because
go.
it drops all thematically the vibes from Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
It loses its charm, right? But it's still a very good narratively and gameplay wise a good game, right?
Yeah.
Devil May Cry 4, what do you mean you hate it? Like what's your nitpicks? That's what I want to hear.
Okay, so I literally was pissed off that I played half a game as not Dante to then get Dante and play the game in reverse.
Yeah.
That is really what pissed me off. And the thing about it is Nero's a cool fucking character. I don't think he was
He's
that
really sick.
cool, and I don't think he was cool in Devil May Cry 4 though. I don't. Like he's cool as shit in Devil May Cry 5 and like and a lot of the spin-off stuff because like he winds up being guest characters and like in like games that aren't even related to Devil May Cry, and like I feel like he's so much cooler since his
Yeah.
introduction than he ever
Yeah.
was when he first debuted.
That's true. He was definitely
Yeah.
more of the angsty teen version, and Dante was more sort of like mature,
Yeah.
comedic guy.
Man. All right, guys. Let's get into these questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because I want to get through them because we have a lot. If you want to ask us questions, if you want to write in, you can join our Discord, join the Boss Rush Network Discord, look for our Twitter thread, write in on Patreon. Or, as some people do, leave comments on YouTube, which is great. Do that. Our first question comes from Sam Hall via Patreon. Hey, you big bossies and the king of the backlog. I hope your weeks are going well. My question this week is an oldie but a goodie. If you were stuck on a desert island, what 3 games would you take with you? Thanks for all the great content. I'll go first because it's easy. Breath of the Wild, because I need that open world adventure game. Tetris Effect specifically because the music's so good. But Tetris is like my favorite game of all time, probably. And then Destiny 2 because I don't know, if I'm alone on an island, I need to talk to friends, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's good. That's a good roster.
Yeah. LeRon?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just updated an answer because
here we go.
I had to. Like the final version of Mass Effect 3. That's one of them. That's one of them for sure. And I'm not going to say anything more because we've got someone that's playing through it right now, so I'm not going to say anything more.
Completely blind.
Yeah. Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. Now, this is a weird one for me because like I actually like Monster Hunter World Iceborne more than I like Sunbreak, but Sunbreak, in my opinion, had a lot of nice diversity for like a Monster Hunter formula. Honestly, Sunbreak plays like a like if Monster Hunter was like arcadey, and that was really refreshing for me and stuff like that. So yeah, and then Dead Space 2, because Dead Space 2 is my favorite out of all 4 all 3 of the original games. It still got this. It still has the scares, but it's kind of like how like if Dead Space was like the 1979 Alien. And Dead Space 2 is definitely in 1986 as Aliens.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's hope you get that remake. Let's hope that remake is made.
I want the Dead Space 2 remake. I really want the Dead Space 2 remake.
Yeah.
Honestly, I want them to go ahead and just go ahead and just Dead Space 1, 2, and 3. If they need to majorly retcon shit from Dead Space 3, I understand, even though I love Dead Space 3. Like, it's not my favorite out of all the games, but in all seriousness, the stuff that did in Dead Space 3, I will say was kind of bold, even if it wasn't the vision they wanted, because there was a lot of meddling from the execs and stuff, for how Dead Space 3 came out. It wasn't the scariest Dead Space game, but it was, in my opinion, it was very fun, especially the co-op mode. Because like if you play the co-op mode right, you get all the story.
Hell yeah!
Nice.
Yep. Those are my picks.
Nice.
Cool.
For me, I have an open world game. I have Elden Ring. It's one of my favorite games ever. I'm a huge
bitch. Like that's what you would be stuck with for the rest of your life.
I would be
Only a true Souls fan would have that in his lineup forever.
I would be
happy.
I
understand you, Dave.
Thank you. I'm a huge Souls guy. those games are comfort games for me. And Elden Ring is the biggest. Elden Ring has the most variety in how you can play. So give me that.
Yeah,
Amen.
man. Well, shit. Like, I mean, like, okay, if you like getting kicked in your balls, have you played Super Ghouls and Ghosts lately?
Oh, no.
different
It's
kind
just-
of getting kicked in your balls for sure. This is a whole thing. I'm not going to make this like a big speech, but the reason that I love Souls games is not how difficult they are. I tolerate difficult boss fights so that I can get to the other parts of the games that I think From Software does better than anybody else out there. Elden Ring. My other one, I will probably take a sports game. I don't know what, like maybe Rocket League. Like is this the opportunity where I finally get good at Rocket League? Is if I'm on a desert island and I have no other choice?
Maybe.
Because I think Rocket League's an amazing game, but I'm not going to play it enough in my regular life to actually be good at it. So in this scenario, maybe that's what I can do. And then I will take the opportunity and like the unlimited free time I guess you'd have on a desert island to finally play Final Fantasy 14, because I love Final Fantasy, but I just can't fathom starting now and playing like 1,000 hours of it. It seems insurmountable to me. So give me this scenario, assuming we have internet. Corey already said he's playing Destiny, so we have internet in this scenario. So
in this scenario, yeah.
Yeah, give me FF14. I will finally get the chance to see what all the hype is about.
See, I'm an antisocial gamer. Well, I mean, I love playing online
You're
games.
a Monster Hunter player. What are you talking about?
Oh, I was solo all day in Monster Hunter. That's the crazy part.
I would mostly solo.
But well, here's the thing about it. There's history behind me in soloing it, because like in my circle of friends, like I've been playing the Monster Hunter franchise the longest. I was playing it when it was an unknown game that was literally hard as fuck to play. Like, I mean, because the learning curve in Monster Hunter was so steep and everything. So like Monster Hunter 1 came out in 2004. You know, like me and some buddies played it. They quit playing it after like, you know, like the servers closed off and everything like that. But Monster Hunter didn't do that well in the West. But I loved it to the point where I was like, okay, I modded my PS2 and I started importing the games from Japan and stuff like that. So I was playing games I couldn't even understand, you know?
You understand Monster Hunter.
Yeah. So like I was playing. I played all the Monster. I played as much Monster Hunter 2 as I can, because I could not go online and play it, because like I'm not from Japan, and like they ban you off their servers. They discover you there and stuff like that. So then when the PSP versions came out, like nobody wanted to buy a PSP and play Monster Hunter with me. So I was playing by myself for until Monster Hunter Freedom Unite came out. Freedom Unite is, I think, the one that finally like woke everybody up to like how good this series was and stuff like that, you know. But by that point, I was like, you know what? I've learned so much about the game that I don't need to play with a party. If I actually call somebody and say, "Hey, I need you to play this quest for me," it's just because the quest required two people to play. It didn't so much because I just wanted to quest with you. So yeah, I became an antisocial Monster Hunter gamer, and then when, like, you know, of course, like World and Iceborne came out and everything, everybody was back into it. Everybody had systems and wanted to be able to play it and stuff like that. And but then they were pissed off at me because I was like leagues ahead of them because I knew what the fuck I was doing.
Awesome. So yeah. My 3 games, right? My 3 games. I will say, because Dave said this, I'm going to say it too. Final Fantasy 14 would be one of them, because I haven't played it.
Mm-hmm.
My friends play it. I don't play it. And again, as a fan of the Final Fantasy franchise, I know 100% that if I spent time on that game, I will sink in so many hours that I will probably forget I am stranded on an island, right? Yeah. So that is a game that has, like, with all the DLC and all the expansions packs, it's just like thousands of hours just waiting for me to just like to spend so much time on. So that definitely that. And for the same reason, Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be one
that's a great
want to bring onto this island, because of all the different branching ways I can. It could be a new game every time I start up a whole campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
for me. You know, I can mix around who I bring out of my party. I can mix around which path I take. I can mix around what type of sort of behavior my character can have with other characters. And again, for same reason, like spend a lot of time on. That's one of them. But a game that I want to go into that doesn't isn't really as narratively powerful or in your face would be uh yeah, Elden Ring. I'd say Elden Ring would be another game I'd bring onto the Stranded Island with me
It's a good call.
because I am a Soulsborne fan and that is my medicine, you know. I could cure me, it can fix me. Elden Ring
Yeah.
is yeah, it's a good game and I want it to be
Yo, you guys in these MMOs though, MMOs intimidate me. Like I remember trying to muddle my way through Final Fantasy 11, and I was like, I can't do this. I can't. There's
Yeah.
just too much going on. But I think my problem was I was trying to do a Final Fantasy 11 on the PlayStation when I honestly should have been trying it on the PC.
Maybe that could have been it, yeah.
I've never played an MMO, and it's partly because I don't like playing games with other people. I'm also an antisocial gamer for the most part.
Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong.
No,
Yeah.
I played a bunch of Monster Hunter Rise, and I did it all solo. I just don't care. I don't want to play with other people. FF14, they say you can play it by yourself, so whatever.
Yeah.
That's cool, but it's just so much time. So I need to have zero responsibilities in order to actually play that game.
For sure, yeah.
Man, Final Fantasy 14. It's scary.
Yeah.
Our next question, real quick, we'll run through these last few here. Marine Gamer 1289 via YouTube asks, what are your favorite licensed games? I was thinking about how Luke and Corey were talking about Batman Arkham and Transformers last week, and thought there have been some pretty decent licensed games in recent memory, as well as a lot of older ones. What do you say? I have to shout out X-Men Origins Wolverine, which is something I kicked myself after we recorded last week that I did not mention that game. That game is incredible. I also really liked Eidos Montreal's Guardians of the Galaxy game.
Yeah, dude.
I loved that game.
That game's great.
People are not talking about it enough. I feel like it is such a hidden gem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That game was cool. And then the recent, not just Turtles in Time, which I've written down here from the Turtles game, but like the recent run of Turtles games, like Shredder's Revenge is really good. Splintered Fate is good. The Cowabunga collection, like, really pulled together all those classic games. Like, those are just some that I wanted to shout out. Dave.
Yeah, I've got the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games, licensed skaters, licensed music. The music is like great. Basically shaped my taste in music when I was 11 or 12 years old. So Tony Hawk Pro Skater, the Lord of the Rings movie games from like the PS2, GameCube, Xbox era, those rule. I did an episode recently on Tales from the Backlog about the Return of the King game, and like I played it again this, like, I think it was last year, but it still rules. So those games are great. And the South Park RPGs, the Stick of Truth and the Fractured But Whole, legitimately good RPGs and the best thing South Park has made since those games came out.
I would say they're the best South Park thing since the Warcraft episode of South Park.
Yeah, it's probably like since that era, those games are the best South Park thing.
Yeah. The games are pretty good. I don't know if this counts, but I want to say Lego Marvel superheroes.
Oh
It
yeah,
counts.
that's, that's double
Yeah.
licensing.
Yeah, double licensing. Lego Marvel superheroes. The first one, the second one, not as much. I think that one was really done well because they brought out characters that, especially at the time, like not pre, but like early MCU, where people like only knew a couple handful of characters, at least people who weren't really into the comics. While like Lego Marvel, right? They brought out just it was a massive cast of characters into the game, and I really appreciated that growing up. And yeah, I thought it was awesome. I am being clouded by nostalgia. I feel like if I got back into Lego Marvel superheroes, I wouldn't like it as much. But I don't gotta worry about that now because I'm playing Mass Effect. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think Lego Marvel Superheroes is definitely something that I hold to high regards, especially for a
Mhm.
licensed game.
Yeah.
Is
LeRon.
it me?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. I kind of went specific on my games. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Um,
Yep.
honestly, I mean, I can also lump the Force Unleashed, like the first one, because the second one kind of was lackluster for me, even though like it ratcheted up a lot of the crazy shit that like Star Killer could do. Like I felt like it was a little over the top, even for a Star Wars game at that point. But
Yeah.
Fallen Order for sure was. I feel like it was the first Star Wars game that I could finally take the Star Wars franchise seriously. Because I mean, I played the Battlefront games. I played like the Super NES, like Star Wars games that were supposed to be based off of all the movies and all that stuff. Like it didn't really do it for me. But Fallen Order was definitely good. I feel like they fleshed out the story, and the fact that Disney turned around was like, hey, this shit's canon. Like yeah, like
Mm.
I love it.
That was pretty cool of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. I've played like Budokai Tenkaichi, even Fighter Z and stuff like Fighter Z is phenomenal and stuff like that. But the fact that Kakarot kind of like took you through like all the greatest hits, it kind of reminded me of a game that never was released in the States but was out during like the PS1 Sega Saturn era in Japan. Dragon Ball Z Legends. It was like retelling of like all the big franchise battles and stuff like that. That was amazing, and Kakarot definitely like did that for me. So that's one of them. And then Spider-Man Miles Morales. I had to go hard on this one because like Marvel Marvel Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Spider-Man 2, in my opinion, they are all great games. But Miles Morales, even though it's a shorter playtime than the other two, I feel like Miles Morales, that was an A++ game.
It's the best one, in my opinion.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Sweet.
All right, so we're gonna only answer 2 more questions and save the rest for next week. Just because we're gonna be here for another like 3 hours if we answer these questions. But Stephanie wrote in. Stephanie, we miss you. She wrote in and asked, "Happy birthday to the Game Boy. Any fun memories or top games from the era?" I actually have my original Game Boy complete in box sitting back there on my shelf.
Nice.
It was the first console that I ever owned. Like we had an Atari 2600, but it was like my dad's, and we could only play it when he was home and whatever. But my grandma got me that the year it came out. I was 3 and I had no idea how to play video games, but it was fine. 1989, Tetris, and boxing. And then my cousin ended up giving me his copies of Fall of the Foot Clan, which was the first Ninja Turtles game, and Super Mario Land. And then I ended up getting, a bunch of other crappy games because I was a child. But yeah, that's my top Game Boy story. That's my favorite. That's why it's still sitting back there. My 2 favorite games back there too, complete inbox.
Wow.
I have A Link to the Past, the Game Boy Color version, complete inbox back there, and then Super Mario Land is also back there, complete inbox.
Nice.
Game Boy era. I'm like, that's definitely not my era. It's way, way before my era.
Oh, jeez.
I think a
Okay.
game that can actually genuinely say that I adored in that era is Tetris, Pokemon Red and Blue,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not sure if this was from the Game Boy era, maybe the Game Boy Advance era, but the Bomberman series.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved Bomberman. But those are a couple of my favorites.
Yeah, there was a Bomberman on the Game Boy.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome then. Yeah. Definitely love those,
Nice.
like sort of simple, but then like it just grabs you and doesn't let you go, once it catches you.
Yeah.
For me, I have a memory of getting a Game Boy with Pokemon Red for Christmas in 1998. My brother got a Game Boy and Pokemon Blue, And so like I had a Game Gear before that, but I like played games on it and I had fun, but it was like one of many things that I liked doing with my free time, when I was a kid. And then when Pokemon and the Game Boy entered my life, it was like I'm just playing video games all the time. And like I'll go outside and play with my friends sometimes, but like if I'm in the house or in the car or at school or on the school bus, I'm playing Pokemon on the Game
Yeah.
Boy. So that's my main memory of the Game Boy, the original one.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much Pokemon just extended the life of that console because it was dead. Like the Game Boy was essentially dead.
The Game Boy,
Yeah.
the original Game Boy, and then like the Game Boy Pocket, which we got the Game Boy Pocket, but the Game Boy Pocket was functionally the same. It was just smaller, right?
Yeah.
So the fact like when did the Game Boy come out? Like 89 or something?
89, yep.
And then I got a Game Boy Color in 2001. So like that's an insane lifespan for a handheld piece of or any Game Boy like or any video game console basically.
I'm gonna be absolutely respectful because people know my relationship with Nintendo. Like Nintendo knew how to fucking do it back in those days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a positive thing about Nintendo. Write that down, everybody. Write it down.
No. I was I finally remember to launch the Game Boy. I do. I do. I do. I think my mom hated the fact that like I wanted one of those damn things because I mean like ticking them off real quickly. The Double Dragon game for Game Boy, Mega Man's 2, 3, and 4 for the Game Boy, Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening for the Game Boy, of course Tetris, and Operation Contra. God, those. I have emulators and I have those games emulated. That's all I'm gonna say. Because I love my ROG Ally, which I'm thinking about selling to Corey.
Yeah, maybe.
They just put those Mega Man games on NSO on the Game Boy service. I actually just like played a little bit of them a couple days ago because I forget about NSO and then like every 3 months or so I'll boot it up and be like, oh, they probably added stuff. Let's see what's new. And it's like all these Mega Man games. All right, cool. Check these out.
Yeah. I thought it was so cool with the Game Boy because I had this carrying case with like a big strap on it. It was like a messenger bag for my Game Boy. That my older cousins just made fun of me.
Everybody had that.
Yeah, I know.
Have that.
I know, but I thought it was cool when I was like 4 or 5. Okay, so shut it.
It's cool, and you get like a case that has little slots to put your cartridges in.
Yeah,
and get that worm light.
Yeah, and then I had like the big magnifying glass with the speakers and the light on it.
Oh yeah,
yeah, I had that shit. I had that.
All right, our last question is specifically for Dave from Jacob McCourt. He asks, ask Dave about what it's like transporting consoles halfway around the world in his suitcases.
Yeah. So thank you, Jacob, for that. A shout out to Jacob, lovely person. So I moved from the US to South Korea, and then I moved from South Korea back to the US. And both times I took consoles with me. And if you've never flown with a console, here's the thing. They can't go in checked bags. They have to be in carry-on luggage. So carry-on space is at a premium if you really care about what's in the bags. So the first time I moved out there, my one carry-on was just my Xbox 360 and my Wii U and associated accessories. That is all that was in the bag. That was all I had space for in the, they can only be so big. So that was one way. And then on the way back, my wife and I came together. So we had 2 carry-on bags between the two of us. One of them was our dog, who we brought on the plane with us, but he counted as a carry-on bag. The other carry-on bag was just my PS5 because it's the only thing that can fit in a carry-on size suitcase because that thing's so big. Yeah. So that is the experience of taking consoles halfway around the world is you better plan for that because that is you're dedicating prime luggage space to those. And when I flew back from Korea, my personal item, as I call it, my backpack, it had my Switch in it and some other related stuff that was not allowed to go in carry-on bags, like my laptop, or in checked bags, like my laptop. So that's how it works. So the process is you better plan for it. And I joked that where your priorities lie with something like that, because it's like, I'm taking what's important to me when I move across the world.
Yeah,
I'm taking my Wii U, baby. That's what's important to me.
man.
rare.
Like my first year of the ROG Ally, I flew across country a couple of times, and man, that was interesting because it was so brand new that TSA didn't even know what the fuck it was.
Yeah, that's a bad feeling when you're
Yeah.
like trying to
Yeah.
explain technology to TSA.
Mm. Yeah, I got stopped on the way to PAX actually because I had like some audio equipment in my carry-on, and
Mhm.
they like the XLR attachments look like little bomb cylinders. Oh, it was awful.
Yeah. I mean, if you're carrying around a big black brick around you, especially in an airplane, people are going to race somewhere.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, we did it, everybody. We're gonna call it there.
Nice. Awesome.
Everybody out there, thank you for watching and or listening to this episode of the Boss Rush Podcast. Dave, thank you for joining us tonight. Where can people find you?
So first of all, thank you, Corey and LeRon, and good to meet you, Sophie. It's been great chatting with you all here tonight.
Awesome. Thank you.
And so if people want to find me, the best place is on the Tales from the Backlog podcast, which is everywhere you listen to podcasts, also on YouTube if you want to listen to podcasts on YouTube, which apparently most people don't want to do. I've seen the metrics for watch time on YouTube. But anyway, I digress. You can find Tales from the Backlog anywhere you listen to this kind of thing. And again, it's weekly deep dives into one game in particular in each episode, in depth, no spoilers for a while. We'll warn you when the spoilers begin. So if you've always wondered about games like, let's see what's coming up on the show. We've got Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, Pizza Tower, Dave the Diver, and Animal Well. Those are the games for August. If you wondered about those but don't want to be spoiled, you can listen to my show. And if you played those and want to hear a deep dive, kind of like spoiler cast conversation, we have that too. So that is Tales from the Backlog.
All right.
Nice.
Sweet.
There'll also be links in the show notes to the show, so you guys can.
Thank you.
Easy access.
Yeah.
How we like it. Sophie, thanks for joining us as well. This was
No
great.
worries. No worries. Awesome. Thank you for having me again. Maybe next time if I'm on, I'll be a bit more prepared.
Well, to be fair, this was like this was literally like a 5 minutes before the show started type thing. So
Yeah. So you did great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Okay, sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. Where can people find you?
People can find me writing articles for bossrush.net. I have only released a couple right now, more to come. And that's about it really.
Cool. We'll make sure to link some of the articles in the show notes from Sophie in the show notes. Yeah, show notes.
Sweet.
LeRon, thank you for your time as well, as always.
Always.
And everybody out
Always
there.
a pleasure.
Remember to like, subscribe, share, rate, and review wherever you listen or watch. And you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. Check out all of our content on bossrush.net. Thank you so much for watching and or listening. Until next time, we love you. Goodbye. If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Todd Oxtra. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.